Hopefully you can see okay. The audio is probably gonna be weird. I don't know, we're gonna figure this out. Hopefully it works out, but we'll see. We are currently at Rockstar Pole Fitness Studio in Westminster, Colorado, and this is where I teach every Tuesday. And I just got done teaching my 2 classes, so I am going to open the Q&A that we did weeks ago. I'm gonna answer most of the poll questions that I can answer, and then anything that has to do with stripping or any other sex work, I'm going to hand off to my friends who are sex workers so that they can answer those questions for you so that you can get it straight from the source. So, okay, poll Q&A, here we go. So some of these are personal and some of these are just kind of like general poll questions. I'm gonna try to answer as many as I can, so it's probably not gonna be a super in-depth thing, but I'm gonna do my best. How long did it take you to invert? Did any exercises help? Yes, inverting is going to be different for everybody, just like any other move, because everybody's body is different, everybody's experience and strength and flexibility, everything is going to be super different. So it took me maybe 6 months. There's some things that will take you months. There's some things that might take years. I still don't have my handspring, and some people who are just learning it for the first time in class will get it on their first try, and it's been years for me. So, you know, it totally just depends. Exercises, a lot of core. It's all in your core and in your bicep and shoulders. Or you can use like a pull-up bar and basically just do crunches and slowly but surely lean into inverts. Do you dance, I'm so dyslexic. Do you pole dance in a club? I personally do not, so I've never danced professionally. How did you get started wanting to pole dance? I was actually 17. I was just about to turn 18, and I just wanted to try something that was really out of my comfort zone because I'm not really a sexual person. Surprisingly enough, I think that surprises a lot of people. I'm just not a sexual person, and I've never really been a feminine person up until I started pole dancing, and that just brought a lot of power into that. So I was 18 and I just wanted to do something a little spicy for my 18th birthday, and then I got hooked. How did you get over the performance fear? I'd be so nervous about everything. I did theater in school, and I feel like I've never really had a lot of shame. I didn't really have a huge issue. I've always kind of liked to perform, like I like being able to sing or dance or act or things like that. I just like creating things. Otherwise, the nerves are kind of like, it's kind of fun to me. I like the adrenaline. If you're just talking about going to a class for the first time, that's super nerve-wracking because, I mean, pole is a very vulnerable thing to do. So when you're showing up, especially if you're showing up alone to your first class, it feels like everybody's watching you, but they're not. Believe me, they're all focused on themselves. They're all feeling the same way. And the pole community, for the most part, is really, really open and really supportive for the most part. I mean, you know, there's always those people in any community. Any poles you recommend for people just starting out? Home use? Yes. So I love my X pole. They're used in a lot of different studios and also used in home studios as well. They're also renter friendly, so that's super helpful. And once you understand how to install it and uninstall it, it's pretty easy to put up and take down in 20 minutes or less. So, you know, if you're not really open about dancing quite yet or taking pole classes or whatever, then it's easy to set up when you're training. And then if you have people coming over that you don't really want to have that conversation with yet, you can just take it down and like put it away. Can big girls do this? Yeah, anybody can do it. Obviously everybody's body is different, like I said in the beginning. Some things that might be easier for others might be more difficult for others. It just really depends, but there are plenty of people of all different sizes that pole dance, and I follow quite a few. Here are some of the people on Instagram that I follow that you can go ahead and check out, and also the hashtag curvy girls pole is also a really great one because you see, you know, like different body sizes and not just like the tinier people or like super fit people that tend to be the forefront. Do you think that people that easily get dizzy could still try it or would be a lost cause? No, you could still try it. There are plenty of things that you can do that don't require a bunch of spinning, but also it's something that you can work on. It's not something that a forever thing, because I definitely used to get really dizzy when it came to especially doing spin pull. But now, just because I'm used to it, and if you use spotting, so if you see ballerinas pirouetting and you see their heads, whip around, or ice skaters, they're pirouetting so that they don't get dizzy, they're spotting. Does it help with self-confidence / body image? Absolutely, I think it does. I wasn't like ridiculous. I didn't actually realize how insecure I was about my body until I started pole dancing. Diving deeper into the community and seeing just how everybody is just so different and can still create beautiful art and feel themselves is really inspiring, and it's really nice. So I've seen people definitely just like gain body confidence from it. That's why I like teaching level 1, is because when people come in and they're kind of shy and they're uncomfortable and they're like, ooh, I don't really know how I feel about this. And then by the end of class, 60 minutes later, they're kind of like walking a little different. They're like, oh, I just did that. And it's a really good feeling to see people just kind of like know their power, or see that little spark of like, I'm actually kind of a badass. And that's really cool. I really want to try pole, but I'm plus size. Will the pole break, fall, or something? No. If you're going to a studio, no, you'll be fine. I don't have a question, but I love your energy when you dance in pole. Thanks. Can disabled people do pole? Are there specific dance styles that are accessible? I would like to be able to give you a better answer on this. I think it just depends on the disability, on like what your limitations are, but there are definitely dancers out there that are even missing limbs that still dance. So I think the best way to go about it is just understanding your limitations, and then if you do decide to take a class, make sure that you let your instructor know what your limitations are and just do your best. And honestly, it comes down to just it being a form of fitness and a form of art. So if you're moving and you're feeling yourself, I think that's all that really matters. If I try pole for the first time, how sexual do I have to be? I would do it for the exercise. It's whatever you wish. It doesn't have to be sexual if you don't want it to be sexual. There are plenty of studios and instructors that focus more on the fitness side. So you can also look into pole conditioning classes, because that's gonna be a lot more on the boot camp side of things rather than the sensual things. It doesn't have to be sexual, and there's plenty of very well-known pole dancers who are very sporty and trick-based compared to stripper style. I feel so stupid asking this. Does the pole really spin, or is it all a perspective trick? This one's actually a very common question, so don't feel stupid. The pole does spin. Some poles spin, some do not, and like the ones at the studio, these poles you can either keep static, which means it doesn't spin, or you can pull out a little pin. Some other poles have buttons, or you unscrew a specific screw and it allows the pole to spin. So it's a very common thing that people think that we are just defying physics, and when I tell people that it spins, it's like I'm telling them that Santa Claus isn't real. Beginner asking, would you recommend installing a pole in my house, or should I wait? Well, I think nobody's gonna stop you if you install a pole, and I don't see an issue with that if you want to practice at home. I just think that as long as you know your limitations and you are careful, because the more things that you try, the more dangerous obviously the things are going to get, because it's aerial tricks, and you just don't want to hurt yourself or pull something because you're trying something that you saw on Instagram without the proper instructions. So I mean, I say go for it as long as you are getting proper instruction prior to trying something new. How long does it take for your skin to get used to the pole? Do the pole kisses ever go away? Oh boy. So yes and no, it really depends. Again, everybody's body is really different, so some people might bruise easier than others. Same thing with burns, things like on your hands or knee pits, or if you're doing any kind of skin holds, then they will get better, but bruising usually doesn't get better. So, should everyone try it once? If they want to. Hi, I was wondering if you had any tips for getting more fluid with advanced tricks. Ooh, well, with advanced tricks, I think getting the actual trick down itself to where it can feel like second nature, where you're not struggling to do anything or you're not thinking about it anymore as much as you would usually be. That's the first step. And then your body just kind of will do it sometimes, especially if you're freestyling. So first work on whatever trick that you're working on as much as you possibly can until you can just go into it without thinking, and then work it into freestyles and just kind of see different ways that you can both get into the trick and get out of it safely, of course, but you can also get a little creative with it once you are strong and confident in that trick. How good is it for strength training? Very good. How has your journey been going to becoming more flexible? Slow and steady. Ooh, if your significant other didn't support it, would you still do it? Absolutely. I refuse to dilute my happiness and the things that I love for other people. My significant other, at this point, if they didn't know, how did your family react? I think pole is so gorgeous, but I don't know if my family would accept me. Luckily, my parents fully support it. I know that a good amount of my family, they're more passive about things. They won't really say anything, but I can tell that they still see it with a lot of stigma and judge it. But like I said previously, I'm not going to dilute my happiness for other people. So if they are upset about it, that's their problem and not mine. How do you stay up there? Like thigh muscles? Yeah, actually, it's a lot of thigh squeezing. It's a lot of thigh squeezing and friction. That's why pole dancers have to have a lot of skin showing when they're doing tricks so that you can stick to the pole, because if you're wearing clothes, then you won't be able to grip anything. How steep is the learning curve? It just depends on you. Everybody's experience is totally different, and that's okay. Your past experiences, if you've danced or done sports or any other kind of aerial type of things, or if you're just stepping into it like I did without any dance or sport experience whatsoever. So it just depends, and it's all about being really gentle with yourself and just understanding that everybody is different. I struggle with expressing sensuality openly, yet I want to do pole. What would you recommend? I would recommend trying it and just dipping your toe in. You don't have to be sexual when you dance. You can just do the spins and do the moves however you wish. And again, like I said, different teachers and different studios will teach differently. So I like to teach very much about being creative and being sensual, but also I will throw in a little bit of like strength things here and there, but it's mostly choreo just because, again, I like to create and I like the art of it. Yeah, you can definitely dip your toe in and just like see how that feels for you and try it out. Hi, what's an affordable beginner's pole that I could install in my home? So I would highly suggest just going for like a really nice pole such as X pole. I know that it's a hefty price, but it's worth investing in a good pole and not spending money on hospital bills. Please talk about the feeling connected to sensuality, sexuality, and femininity through pole dance. I think it's hard for some of us to see those as equally valued and sacred, recovering from purity culture. Ooh, yeah. Well, I mean, I grew up Christian as well, so I totally understand how it's kind of like, oh, that's bad, you can't do that. It's a journey, you know, like that's why I like doing it, because it's freeing and it makes me feel good about myself. It's a journey. Have you ever had sex on a pole? You said we can ask about sex. You didn't read it right. I said you can ask about sex work, not about my personal life. If you're wondering why you can't find me on Instagram, I blocked you. Do any specific poses hurt? Oh my God, all of them. No, that's not true. Superman, pole sit, elbow hold, shoulder mounts, a lot of them hurt. You're basically just putting your full body weight on small contact points of your body, so yes. How do you stay motivated without getting discouraged in the beginning of pole dancing? Ooh, I think motivation can be different for everyone. For me, I just really love music and I love dancing. So I just like creating different characters when I'm dancing. I like kind of creating different moods or stories, I guess. I like making choreo. I like choreographing things. So that is what kept me motivated. There's just, at any given point, if there's a song that I like, but it also makes you feel good. And then anytime I had issues with tricks and I get frustrated, I just take a break. It's okay to take a break, and not work on it, or you can just work on things that you already know and just focus on the things that are your comfort zone and then just come back to the thing that you're having issues with later. How does one get over the skin pain from the friction of pole? You just deal with it. Know anybody that doesn't look super feminine but still does pole? Yeah, here are some of the people that I follow on Instagram. What's a good practice if you can't afford classes? Ooh, see if you can find any online classes, because usually those are a little cheaper. But if you're trying to actually practice on the pole, I highly recommend just saving up, because I would hate for you to be trying something, like I said previously, to be trying something and then accidentally pull something or hurt yourself. Is there a workout video or set that you would recommend to get your core toned for pole? When I was at home a lot and wasn't able to go to classes, whether it be due to the virus or due to just not being able to afford it, I would watch a lot of Blagotti's. I always f this up. Blagotti's. I watch her all the time, and she has some really good core exercises that you can do at home, and they usually kick my ass, so I like them. How long did it take you from going nothing to dancing so beautifully? I've been dancing since 2015. Do you deal with any people being weird, creepy, judgmental about your decision to dance? Oh yeah, all the time. It's just something that I kind of I gauge if I'm having a conversation with somebody, of if I really want to have that conversation with that person, of like, oh yeah, I teach pole dancing. Most people are very open, and because I mean it's 2021, like come on. Most people are pretty open and like, oh, that's really cool. You must be strong, or they'll compliment me in that way, or I've always wanted to try it. And most people are very nice about it, but there are some people like that will just make comments like, oh, I have to get my girlfriend into that. And you're like, no, you don't. I deal with it online, then the block button is free. I always see people dancing in underwear. Do you have to do that? Like for skin pole friction? Yes. I mean, you don't have to do underwear, but you do have to wear not a lot of clothing, especially for your legs, because that's where a lot of your contact points are. But there are different leggings that are grippy, made specifically for pole dancing. You could use those if you really don't want to be like showing a lot of skin, but at the end of the day, you are going to need something to be able to grip to the pole. What are some things that pole dancing has taught you outside of pole dancing itself? Confidence. It's had a huge impact on my confidence of like, just this is what I do, this is what I love, this is what makes me feel good. I was open about pole dancing pretty much right as I started. So, because again, my mom is the one who like signed me, because I think I was not even 18 yet. So she signed the waiver for me. So she was supportive, thank God. But yeah, I was open about that. And then that actually helped me just be a little more confident in who I am and like just what that means to be me. So that kind of gave me a little extra, I guess, experience being open about my spiritual beliefs and practices too. It also just made me so much more comfortable with wearing whatever I want, which is really nice because I love being really loud sometimes with my outfits. I tried a few tricks on my friend's pole and I was sore for days. How do you prep for pole? It's like anything, you just work up to it. It's like going to the gym and lifting some weights. You don't want to pick up all the heavy weights and just go for it and hurt yourself. You just kind of work up to it slowly but surely. But if you're doing it right, you're definitely gonna be sore as hell. I am always sore and bruised. Can you start if you have no upper body strength at all? Yeah, I mean, there's definitely things that you might run into that will be challenging, but that's gonna be for everybody. There's just gonna be something that's gonna be challenging. And you can definitely use pole to gain that upper body strength. What is your favorite thing about doing pole? God, everything. I like feeling strong, I like feeling sexy, I like feeling confident, I like feeling creative, and I like that pole is so many things. You skinny bitch, we love you. Thanks. How would you recommend going about learning pole dancing? I highly recommend going to in-person classes, but I know that that's not always accessible. So the next best thing would be taking classes online at a home studio that you've created that you know is safe with online pole instructors. But yeah, if you can take classes, that would be the best and safest way. And I would argue that it would be the quickest way to learn, but that's not my experience, so I can't really say that for 100%. How many times a week would you recommend practicing? Depends on where you're at, where your strength level is at, where your ability is at. Again, this totally just depends on you. I started with once a week, and then I just gradually added more and more classes when I could. If it works with your schedule and if it works with your body, you don't want to overwork your body, but you also don't want to only do it like once a month and call it good if you want to get stronger or better. But yeah, again, that's just gonna be up to you and your lifestyle. Was it hard telling people you did pole at the start? Did people try to shame you? Yeah, some people try to shame me. I even have people who are like quote unquote closer to me, not really, that have shamed me, that are like, oh, whatever. And you know, it is what it is. Like, I'm not gonna be for everybody. I just started telling people at the very beginning just because I really enjoyed it. I was excited about it. And yes, I did get some people that were like, what brands do you typically buy for clothing and heels? You always look great. Oh, thanks. So I have only recently started spending money on actual pole clothes. So this thing that I'm currently wearing is from Creatures XIX. I don't know if you pronounce that differently, but whatever. There's plenty of pole attire, and it is a little pricier, but again, it's made for pole. For heels, I personally like Pleasers. There are so many different brands. I post quite a lot of different heels on my Instagram stories as well. I couldn't name anything off the top of my head, but yeah. And then Amber Wolf hand makes some things as well. There's a lot. Yeah. At the end of the day, if you follow, like, the more you start following other dancers online, you'll start to see their style, and I just kind of pick and choose the things that I like. And most of the time, especially if they have bigger platforms, they will list the things that they wear, and I will just stalk that brand and that company and find something that I like and save up for it and get it. Any good tips for learning how to walk in those death heels? Start small. Do not go straight to the 9-inch heels. You do need a specific amount of balance and strength in your ankles in order to walk in those. I've seen so many horror videos. So start with 5 or 6 inches, whatever you're comfortable with. I would suggest 5 inches, just so that you kind of get a feel of wearing heels if you're not much of a heel wearer outside of dance, and just work up to it and just slowly take those baby steps, literally. Can I dance pole as something more aerial dance like Lyra, less sexy, more artsy? Yeah, it's a dance, so you can make it whatever you want. It doesn't have to be that. There are no rules. What position do you like most? I hope that you're talking about pole. The butterfly. Will you review Strip Down, Rise Up on Netflix? It's about pole dancing. I haven't seen it. Everybody that I've talked to has either had mixed feelings or really didn't like it. And I've seen clips, and they didn't. No, I'm not gonna review it. Does wearing the heeled boots help, or is it just for the badass look? Both. These specific heels that you see, the buckled ones that I love, the texture of it actually helps me grip the pole, and also they're a little like ankle weights, so it's nice for training, but they also look fucking cool. So, does it feel like flying? Sometimes, yeah, when you're spinning and you're like really into the music, it's really cool. Can pole dance also be witchcraft? I think anything can be witchcraft. If you're doing it with intention and you're sending energy out to something or drawing energy into something, then yeah. Is it okay not to be shaved in pole dance? Totally. How do I get my skin used to the pole because it always hurts? Will it always hurt? At some point, I feel like your body just kind of like stops caring, or maybe your brain just doesn't activate the pain. At some point, you just don't notice it as much because you just keep doing it so often. But pole dancing will always hurt in some sort of way, especially if you keep learning and pushing yourself. It's always gonna be painful. You're always gonna be sore or bruised or burned somewhere. So it's the price we pay to be beautiful. I wanna start pole dancing, but I'm insecure about my body. Is it okay to start while I'm insecure? Yeah, I think so. I think it's a great time to start if you want to become more secure about yourself. But again, that's totally up to what you're comfortable with. So if you're like really not comfortable with it, then don't push yourself to do something that you're really uncomfortable with. Can I start pole if I haven't worked out in a long time, or should I build up strength first? It's up to you. I mean, like, you can start, if you take a beginner's class, like intro to pole or a level 1, and you let the teacher know that you are brand new, you'll eventually just gain the strength if you keep doing all of these pole moves or any of the things that you do in the warm-ups, things like that in class. But if you want to gain strength before going, then you can too. But I think you can start without it. You just might be a little more tired or struggle with a couple of different things. But as long as you understand that you'll eventually get the strength, I think you'll be fine. How do you keep your lingerie in place while moving and stop things from popping out? Hope. Do you recommend having clean shaven legs for pole? I hate shaving them. I don't think it really matters. I've danced with like hairy legs, so don't shave them, whatever. There's a lot about like, does it ever stop hurting? I'm fat, but I'd love to get into pole dancing, but I'm too scared of judgment / failure, etc. Any advice? Also, I love you. Oh, thanks. Yeah. The pole, like I said, the pole community for the most part is really, really accepting. At the end of the day, any studio, which I've only ever been to one studio that was a little judgmental that I really didn't like, but I've only ever been to one studio like that. Any other studio, very welcoming to all sizes, all bodies, all genders. But it depends on the studio. So definitely check your studio out. You can always, if you have one near you, so you can always like pop in and just let them know like, hi, I'm just checking it out. I'm thinking about taking classes here, and just kind of get the vibe. See how you feel, and if you like it, then take a class. Is there a risk of the pole falling? So yes, not at studios. I don't think I've ever seen a video or heard of a studio pole falling because they are professionally installed. But home poles, I see so many terrible videos online of people falling because they invested in a really bad pole, a cheap pole. They got their pole from Spencer's and it was plastic. No, don't do that. That is only for show. Please don't dance on the plastic poles. But yeah, I would definitely be just a little more careful when you're working with home poles. But yeah, there's risk of it, and I've had it happen to me because I didn't install it correctly. So as long as you're installing it correctly, you should be good. Not a question, I just wanted to say thanks for owning your sexuality and giving a safe space to others to do the same. You're welcome, I'm glad that you feel safe here. Can you just do floor work and no pole if you don't own a pole? Yeah, sure, like if that's what you wanna do at home. If you look up the hashtag liquid motion on Instagram, there's a lot of different floor work, or hashtag floor work, but that one can be shadow banned because Instagram hates women mainly. Do you develop calluses on the thighs? Also favorite trick. Calluses on the thighs? No, I just kind of like ignore the pain. Favorite trick I think is either butterfly or tulip or casting. I don't know, I like those three. You'll see me do those three a lot in my freestyles. What's the best way to ask one parents to get a pole in the house? Oh boy, I mean, I just asked, but again, my mom was fairly open to it and totally okay with it. So I just asked. If you don't feel safe asking, I would just prefer if you waited until you moved out. But it just depends on the person and like your parents. I think if you let them know, if you think that they would be open to possibly doing that, and you can be like, hey, I really enjoy this and it makes me feel good about myself, and I'm also getting stronger, and it's a really good form of exercise, and it's a really good way for me to express myself. Maybe they might, if they're open to listening, then yeah, try it out. Favorite color? Black. No, I don't know, I have a lot of favorite colors. They're usually like dark, earthy colors though. Ooh, who are your pole idols? Shit. My first pole idol was Dirty Birdie, Doris Arnold, Amber Wolf, Roz the Diva. If serotonin was a woman, it would be Roz. Sarah Scott, Iris. There are so many. I'll list some of them maybe over here. But there's a lot, there's just so many. Oh, Dimitri, I can't remember all of their handles, but he's really cool. I think her name is Vegas. Yeah, I can't remember all the handles because trying to visualize it, I don't know. And then Young Pole Master, Carmen Black. Yeah, I'll list them eventually when I think of them. Find them on my Instagram. How do you deal with sweaty hands? You wipe the pole off with rubbing alcohol, and if that doesn't help, just adding a little bit of grip, but also make sure that you are experimenting with different kinds of grip because some grip doesn't work. Some grip works better than others for other people. So yeah, just look up different kinds of pole grip. And some people even use like golf chalk. It's like in a like weird ball and you just like grab the ball and get the chalk on your hands and then you can grip easier. I don't know. How do you stay up on it without sliding down or falling off, especially when you spin around it? So this is, again, partially grip. So whatever, like if you are not sweaty, it's obviously a lot easier to grip and hold on. But if you're spinning, the momentum physics, the momentum's gonna pull you away from the center and you're just gonna have to hold on tighter. So a little bit of strength, a little bit of grip. I'd like to try pole dance, but I have no friends that want to go with me and I'm too shy. Advice. I mean, if nobody's gonna go with you, f*** 'em. Go by yourself. I know that's like not really good advice, but at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know, don't wait on other people to do something and try something that you wanna try. That's why I travel a lot alone now, and I actually enjoy traveling alone a lot more often than I do with people now, just because I hated waiting for people to be like, hey, let's go do this trip, and then people would be like, oh yeah, totally, and then wouldn't do it. Have you ever seriously injured yourself before? I've definitely pulled a shoulder pretty bad, and I also have a really bad hip, just like in general. Even before I started pole dancing, I have a pretty bad hip. The more I dance, it just depends on the things that I'm doing, if it irritates it more, so I just try to give a little more attention to that hip and that shoulder, so that I'm stretching it out more and warming it up more so that I don't hurt myself. But I've had minor injuries, but not serious. Ever get guys in your pole classes? Yeah, actually, all the time. At what age can people do pole as an activity? Depends on where you are in the world. I mean, at Russia, they can start them young, like really young, because it's really just seen as gymnastics in that sense, I guess. But here in the US, I think it depends on the state. I don't know if you have to be 18 or not, I think it just depends on the state. So I would check with your local studio and just ask them. How long before you were able how long before you were able to actually climb? I want to say it took me 7 to 8 months. Climbing's really hard, and I had no upper body strength when I first started, so I worked a lot on strengthening my arms and my shoulders, and that helped a lot. How does one push past the stigma of pole dancing? I mean, at the end of the day, pole dancing came from strippers. So I'm not gonna come out and be like, well, I'm not a stripper, which a lot of people unfortunately do. But we have to acknowledge that pole dancing as the art, as the sport, came from strippers, and they are the OGs. So if somebody is like, ugh, you're a stripper, okay? That's a compliment in my eyes. How in the world do you do the floor trick where your head dips and your booty up? Okay, sorry if the audio is weird. I'm filming this on a different day, obviously, but I'm assuming you're talking about this move, which is either called a pounce or a stripper push-up, depending on where you are. But I think you're talking about this one, and I hope this is what you're talking about. This one. So the way to do that is your hands are in front of your face, like kind of at an angle. Your head goes first, and then your chest, and then your pelvis. And you kind of like swiffer your body across the floor. So head goes first, then your chest, then your pelvis. And instead of pushing up your body, you're gonna slide. So you're gonna slide the booty back, push it back, and all the way. Practice those in front of the TV or something, and you should be set to go. What's a common assumption that you face? I think probably that I strip, but again, like that's not really offensive to me. If anything, I take that as a compliment, like I said. I mean, it's not an assumption that bothers me. Cheap places to buy shoes. I'd still suggest Pleasers. I know that they're like in the 40 to 50 realm, but they're, you know, your first pole shoes are gonna be your favorite, at least. What do you do to prep? Stretches, exercises, etc. It totally depends on what I'm doing, what I'm planning on doing. If I'm doing mostly floor work, then I'll be stretching a lot of legs, because it just depends on what I'm focusing on that day, because you can focus on tricks, so that's gonna be a lot of shoulders and biceps. But if I'm doing a lot of floor work, then I'll probably focus on stretching and strengthening my legs and my hips, because that's a lot of what floor work is. But yeah, it really depends. So I know that didn't really answer your question, but there's a lot of different exercises that if you're warming up a specific part of your body, then you can lead that into pole. Do you have a pole dancing playlist to share? I love your taste in music. I do, I have a couple. I'll link them down below. One is called Movement. It's just a bunch of different kinds of music, different kinds of songs. There's not really like a theme to it. It's just a bunch of songs that I'm like, yeah, I could groove to this. So some of them are gonna be slow and sad. Some of them might even be like weird folk, I don't know. And then one is called Slut Sauce, and that is like slow and sensual, and that one's a lot of fun. And then I have another playlist that a friend of mine made called Brat, and it's just a bunch of like bratty songs. How to get started, especially in a closet case situation. I mean, I would definitely be looking into classes if you don't want to really be open about practice, or if you practicing. I'm so used to making videos on practicing. If you don't want to be open about dancing, then definitely look into a studio itself. I usually tell people that I'm going to work out. Like if I really don't want to tell somebody, I'll just tell them that I'm going to work out. What muscles does pole work out the most? Core, shoulders, biceps, and forearms, I think, are probably the most used. What should someone know before they start pole? Just that it's different for everybody. Also, it's hard. I think people should understand that it is hard. You find something that's super challenging, because it's a sport, you know. It's an art. It's a skill that you build upon. Don't heels elevate the level of feeling badass, but like 1,000? Yeah, it does. When I get students who have been taking classes and then they get their first pair of heels, they walk different. They look at themselves different, and it's really cool to see, because all of a sudden they're just like, who's that? What's your key to confidence? I mean, I don't know if this is like specifically towards pole, but it's just, I suppose, not setting ridiculously high expectations of myself, but also understanding that I am no worse or no better than anybody else. And once that's such a big question, I think. Like, confidence comes from just being okay with who you are and what you are. And that takes time. Like, I wouldn't say that I'm 100% there, as even if social media has fooled you, there's definitely so many things that I'm not okay about with myself, and that I just have to work on that, of just accepting that this is just who I am, what I look like, how I sound, what I feel, just all those different things, of just being okay with that and just accepting that. And once you accept it, of like, okay, well, I don't have my handspring. You know, at the end of the day, like, that doesn't make me any less of a pole dancer or less of a person or anything than her, just because she got something faster than I did. It just means that we have different journeys. Yeah, my key to confidence, I think, is acceptance, and I think acceptance. That's my word. That's the one. Does pole dancing take as much practice as playing guitar? I mean, I think anything takes practice. So yeah, you're gonna get better the more you put into something. How do you gain such strength? Practice and pain. Does pole demand more strength on the arms or the legs? I would say arms for sure. How beat up do you get? Interested in checking out a local studio, but nervous about bruises. Depends on the moves that you're doing. Bring knee pads. That's all I'm gonna say. Just for the love of God, bring knee pads. Yeah, bruises are gonna happen if you're doing things, and you're going to get sore. Any tips for someone who wants to get into pole but is self-conscious? Yeah, see if you can bring a friend. And like I said, if people don't wanna go with you, then fuck them. Like, if you really wanna try pole, go for it. And you'll eventually meet people at the studio as well that are really nice. And if you're taking an intro to pole, like an intro level, then everybody else is also going to be a beginner. They're not all gonna be these badass, like, you know, championship winning pole dancers. They're all gonna be beginners and just as self-conscious and uncomfortable as you are. So just keep that in mind, and most of the time you make nice connections there. What is your favorite move / sequence to do? Probably all of my 3 favorite things to do together: casting, into tulip, into butterfly, and then just however I decide to get out of that. What kind of workout do you do for the pole? I actually don't really like working out. I hate working out. But when I am trying to get better at something or get a little stronger, a lot of lat pull downs. So it's that, I don't know if I can like find a video or something, like a weird stock video to show you, but it's the one at the gym where you hold, there's somebody driving past, hey, please don't look at me. It's midnight. Anyway, where the bar is up and you have the weights and you can change the pin and you can just pull it down. Or pull-ups, chin-ups, push-ups, those all help. Anything core, crunches, obliques, all of that jazz. How do you get started, and did you ever feel silly when you first started? So I already said how I got started. Do I ever feel silly when I first started? I still feel silly, especially when I'm learning new things. I feel like a dumbass, so it never really goes away. Like, you're still gonna feel dumb doing a move, and if you do it wrong, you're just like, ugh, but that's how we grow. So this one, how do you spin around the pole so easily? Wouldn't your hands get twisted because it's still? So this all depends on how much grip you have, both speaking strength-wise and like the actual grip on your hands, like the chalk. It depends. It's all very variable based, so it really just depends, unless you're on spin. But if you're doing power spins, which I am not good at, Sarah Scott Pole is really good at power spins. Yeah, if you're doing things like that, then it has to have just the right amount of grip and momentum. But you definitely get your hands like ripped up to hell. Are the very nice heels quite heavy? I mean, it depends on the size of the heels. So the 5-inch heels aren't really that heavy. They're probably like a half a pound. But the bigger the heels they go, the heavier they are. How bad does it hurt your skin when you're starting out? It hurts like a bitch. So sorry. Did you research about it or did you jump right into it? My impulsive ass jumped right into it. I was like, yeah, let's get spicy right now. Let's go. Why are you driving past again? Oh God, he's stopping like right there. I'm on camera, so if anything happens, cool. Anyway, I think this question has been asked before. I don't know if it was asked in here. I kind of went through a lot of them and I'm brain dead because it's midnight. Pole attire, so if you're taking a class, it just depends. Wear something that's like tight fitting, not for like any sexual reason, just because if you're gonna be spinning around and stuff, you don't want things like flowing around. But like a tank top and some leggings. Bring shorts just in case. Some studios will teach things that do require you to have some kind of skin contact, but just bring shorts if you're not comfortable just wearing shorts. Bring a yoga mat. If you have knee pads, definitely bring those. And I'm trying to think of anything else. My closing tips are record yourself if you're dancing. And again, you don't have to share it. You don't have to show anybody. Just record yourself, because then you're able to look back and just see what things that you liked that you maybe didn't even notice that you already did, and other things that you think, oh yeah, I can improve on that. I'll just work on that a little more. Pole is for everyone, so it doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, what gender you are, who you love. It doesn't matter. As long as you're respectful to everybody who goes to the studio, you should be welcome. I will say there are some studios that are primarily feminine based, but that's changed a lot, and most studios do offer co-ed classes. Otherwise, I'm going to switch it over to all the questions about sex work with my friends, and hopefully your questions are answered to the best of their ability. And yeah, this is gonna be a really long video, I feel like. Not that that's a bad thing. Amazing. So good. It's been a while. Okay. Tapping out.